Welcome to Winging It with Wingo with your host, Derek Wingo. Things look a little bit different. Down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, home of some of the best athletes in the entire world. Wanted to be able to keep this alive by bringing you behind the scenes access and what it's like for me training for the NFL draft and bringing on some pretty cool guests to talk about their past and their successes. Let's get it. Welcome to Winging It with Wingo with your host, Derek Wingo. Excited to have my special guest here today. I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Sony Michel, ex-NFL football player.
Man, I'm super excited to take this time to chop it up with you. Growing up, I've always been able to watch you. I talked about you always being one of the most electric college football players, running backs. But we'll throw it back a little bit. I went to St. Thomas. You went to Heritage, right? We won't get into the debate about who's better. But you talk about being from South Florida. So much talent down here. Obviously, you have a huge background of your family. Your mom coming over from Haiti. What was it like for you to kind of be able to stand out? Be that guy and then having that same support from your family.
It was all about really an opportunity. And once you get that opportunity, you get around like-minded people. You get around hard workers. And just like you mentioned, being from South Florida, there's a lot of great players, right? So me being around that, the standard is high, so it holds me to that high standard of wanting to be the best, of wanting to work hard, and trying to perfect my craft. And that kind of ties into a little bit of my background. My parents, they have that same mentality, that hard working mentality. When my parents immigrated over and, with nothing. So they're basically like, man, let's put our head down and work. And I took that same mindset in football and sports.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like it's always cool to hear that background story of where your family came from, what drives you to have so much success. And obviously you had it and you still have it now. So I want to talk a little bit about getting drafted in the first round, right? Obviously that's a dream come true, something that, every single person in the world dreams that they can have. What was that moment kind of like having your family all around with you and just being able to, experience that?
It was an awesome feeling, right? Something that was unexpected. Yeah, there's so many projections on you may go here.
Yeah,
I was
they're all
projected.
over.
Yeah, I was projected late first, to early second. And just to have my immediate family, I didn't really throw a party. I was just watching it like everyone else. And to get that phone call, man, it was surreal because that was the moment that I felt like, man, this is what I worked hard for, right? And this is the moment that can possibly change my life, and it did.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I'm excited for, to have an opportunity like that. I know with the NFL draft coming up, so many other guys are as well. But finally getting to the NFL, right? You played for a couple of different teams and you got to win 2 different Super Bowls. What was it like? Like you see the confetti fall and you got to play with guys like Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, being a part of something great with that even Patriots team. What was that kind of just being able to experience that? Dream come true, getting drafted in the first round. Now you just won a Super Bowl. You're still young. You just got to the NFL. What were your emotions like? Like, what are you feeling through that kind of moment?
It was a blessing. One, to be around, some of the greatest players to ever play this game, like Tom Brady, like Gronk, like Julian Edelman that you mentioned. But getting drafted to the Patriot, a winning organization, starting off my career the right way, right? You get that opportunity to really learn how to be professionals. We got great examples around the locker room. We got great coaches to show me the way. So, it was one of those things where, we played the game to win, so every year that we played the game, we wanted to win championships. I was very, very fortunate to win 2. Went to the Rams, which was another great organization. They had the same mindset. Everybody had the same mission and goal, and we was able to accomplish it.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't hurt you when you come from a program like Georgia. Having someone like Kirby Smart, obviously they do all the right things over there and they're winning, and you go to an organization with Bill Belichick. So that just goes right into kind of the next one, right? Being coached by a guy like Kirby Smart, right? Bill Belichick, Sean McVay, like what they obviously have had, things that have rubbed off on you to not only just your success on the field, but for you as a character. What is it, to you that they've kind of stood out or you've taken to not only your game, but, after now that you're done and after you're retired, something that has always kind of carried with you?
Really learning how to be a professional, right? How to carry yourself day in and day out, whether it was on the field or off the field. I was very fortunate to really arguably play for some of the greatest coaches, right? From the greatest college.
I don't know if it's arguably.
So you know what I'm saying. So I was able to get a lot of good pointers that, yes, it helped me throughout my career, but I also take those same things and I carry with me in everyday life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the greatest part about why, I've always loved college football, because you're developing someone who they are as a person as well as an athlete. Be able to get to that next level, yes, in the NFL, but at the same time, those aspects, carry on in life. And I think that's why I think athletes sometimes in the world outside of just sports could be so successful. We had the amazing opportunity during our pre-draft training over with Perform for you to come in and talk to us about, financial things, what it's actually like being in the NFL, how you should carry yourself, the things that you're going to see around that sometimes just blow your mind. Obviously we super appreciated that opportunity, but what kind of, advice would you give? Obviously you've given it to us and had the opportunity to do that, but what kind of advice would you give other athletes, around the world that kind of just, are reaching for their dreams or striving for that same opportunity that you had yourself?
I like to keep it super simple, right? Really believing in yourself, mm-hmm. right? Not really worrying, and sometimes it's hard, right? Because you wanna know how people feel about you. You wanna hear great things about yourself, no matter if it's good or bad. Always believe in yourself, and once you get to that point, man, just keep it simple, right? Always just keep the main thing. Focus on your craft, and everything else will come. Enjoy it, right? Have fun, because I think those two things are important too throughout the process, because sometimes the process can be such a grind. Mm-hmm. So I think we forget sometimes to have fun and to try to enjoy it and try to be present, because we're always trying to reach for more. And for me, I'm at a point now where I'm just like, man, I'm trying to be so present and really enjoy the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You being someone who's went through the journey, right? You've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. You've seen all of it, going through that process, and now just having that opportunity to, give that, courage to other guys to now still follow that dream. All right, we'll kind of get right into the quicker questions, the 9 questions in 90 seconds. My first one has got to be from Georgia, your best Kirby Smart moment. There's got to be something that, he's done that's kind of blowing your mind a little bit.
I think, when he first got to Georgia, we was doing spring workouts, mm-hmm. and we couldn't have a football, so he made us carry a basketball. And mm-hmm. I thought it was mind-blowing. Like, why are we carrying a basketball? It is like 20 degrees out here. So that was one of those moments where I was just like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah, I know nowadays they do the tape football. They tape
mm-hmm.
up a little towel and kind of do that. All right, so we'll kind of do the exact same thing, but with Bill Belichick, being around the greatest coach of all time. He's, for me, from an outside perspective, obviously he was your coach. I have a hard read on him. I can't tell kind of how he is. You had the chance to see that. There's got to have been a moment, or just the type of person that Bill is himself.
Man, super detailed. I think one of the things that I've learned most about him was how much he cared about history. Mm-hmm. Like, you talking about football history, yes, but like wars, like U.S. history, mm-hmm. like all types of history. Like, sometimes we'll be sitting in meetings and he'd just start talking about histories, like the background of teams, and it's just like, coach, like, what does that have to do?
What does this got to do?
Right? And I always thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically a book himself. Yes. He's got all the knowledge and everything. That's pretty cool. All right, out of the teams that you played for, who do you think was the best NFL team that you liked, not only just as an organization, but just, overall, just kind of being there?
I enjoyed being with the Patriots. Obviously, they just have a special place in my heart because mm-hmm. they drafted me and also helped me learn to be a professional. It wasn't always easy at times, but very, great, enjoyable moments.
Yeah, and then going back when you were younger, there had to be someone that, you always kind of watched in the NFL. Your favorite running back that you always watched to kind of maybe actually model your game after.
So I had two. I always tried to be like Reggie Bush and LaShawn McCoy. I always tried to have that, that savviness to my game. Mm-hmm. But those are two guys that I really enjoyed watching.
Yeah, and then you talked a little bit about this earlier, right? An inspiration for you. Did you have, maybe, I'm assuming it was probably your family, an inspiration for you to always kind of, strive to be the best, strive to be the great? You talked about living in the moment. For you, was that your family, or was there other people around?
Yeah, I had plenty of people around me that inspired me in different ways, whether it was good or bad, mm-hmm. right? And I was one of those guys that sat back and observed, right? If someone did something bad, I was like, if I'm ever in that situation, I'll probably try to do it this way. Or if something happens good and it's like, oh, I like the way they did that. So I always took different sheets out of people's book, whether it was good or bad, or, you know, if it was something that, you know, necessarily wasn't positive, you know, I'll take that and I'll keep it in my back pocket just in case that situation come up, so I'm prepared for it.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about, you know, the biggest thing I've always learned from coaches is when you watch someone do a rep, don't make the same mistake. And, you know, that
100%.
applies to everything. You know, taking different perspectives, different mindsets, putting it all together as your own, and then going out and doing it. So it's kind of almost like a would you rather, Heisman Trophy or winning that national championship?
Ooh. National championship.
Absolutely.
Right, because we played a game to win, right? And obviously it's great to win a Heisman. That means you had a phenomenal season. But there is another side to it, right? There are guys that have phenomenal seasons and their team sucks, and that's not a good locker room to be in, right?
Yeah.
If you've ever been in a locker room that your team's not winning games, it's not fun no matter how well you're performing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to win a national championship, a Super Bowl. I don't think you wish for anything better than that. All right, the wildest player that you've ever had the chance to play with. I think I might know your answer to this one.
So, you know, Tom Brady was one. Right? I have two: Tom Brady and Aaron Donald.
Okay.
Right. So Tom Brady, he's the GOAT, greatest quarterback of all time. You know, I got chances to, you know, be in the same huddle as him, be in the same locker room, be in the same meetings. Got invited to his house a couple times, and Aaron Donald just to see, you know, a freak of nature.
Yeah,
right. Just seeing things that was just like, man, like you never see things like we couldn't really practice against him because you know it was unblockable. Yeah. Right, and I think it was dope to witness.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say Gronk. That's always funny to kind of see him doing all his stuff. I thought you were gonna say Gronk for that one. All right, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Bill Belichick now in college football, right? At the University of North Carolina. If you could go back, would you change your decision going to Georgia to go play for Bill at Carolina?
No, I don't think so. I know North Carolina would have a great program with Bill there. You know, his style is fitting for the college style. But, you know, I'm a dog at heart now, man. It's just so hard to go back on that decision. Yeah. And I'm sure Georgia would probably pay me a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I think, honestly, you know, for any kid coming out of high school now to have the opportunity to be coached by Bill Belichick, you know, he's obviously going to run an amazing system over there. He's got amazing coaching staff around him. So I'm excited to see kind of what he has for the future for that team. And then just, you know, I feel like he's going to be able to change the game of college football and give guys, you know, a better opportunity to transfer from, you know, the lower level game then to the next league in the NFL. All right, we'll get in. I do this with everybody to test out the drawing skills, right? How good you can do it. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Patriots, you know, that's your team. To get your best Patriots logo.
Oh, man. You know, I've tried this before, but, you know, it never really goes well.
It's all right. I've seen some pretty crazy ones throughout these.
Did the Patriot have a hat? I don't know.
I think so. I grew up a Patriots fan my entire life, and I don't even think I could do it. I was, you know, watching the Super Bowl with the Falcons to come back with Brady, and
sure.
There we go. You didn't even need 30 seconds. I think it's pretty good. All right. Well, I saw a pretty cool quote. It was from Kirby. He talked about, you know, it's not about the destination; it's about the journey. You know, I think you have cherished the journey. I think you took advantage of it. I think you've managed it really well and a really amazing job with it. And I think that's, you know, credited to your success, not only in the past, but now and more to the future. So I appreciate you taking the time to chop it up with me. And
no problem.
Yeah.
Appreciate it for having me.
Yeah, and that's it for today. Wingo out.